What's up, guys? It's your boy Dayglow. Today in this session, I'd like to talk to you about conscious breathing. Now, there's one technique in particular I'd like to address today, and that is the Ujjayi breath. The Ujjayi breath, sometimes called the yoga breath or the cobra breath, is probably the most widely used and accepted breath in the wellness and yoga community. And for good reason. It's a very, very effective and powerful technique. Unfortunately, breathing as a whole, in my perspective, is one of the most overrated and underused aspects of the human body. So this breath hopefully will allow you to bring more awareness into yourself so that you can control your thoughts and your actions and your behavior better. So there's three main principles to this breath, and we'll address them a little bit later, but just to go over them quickly, the first is friction. The second is duration, and the third is inflation. And we'll go over those now here in just a second. Let's dive into the practice and see if we can work through this together. Before we get into the actual meat of the practice, let's very quickly address the three principles of the Ujjayi breath. So remember, the first principle is friction. And what we mean by this is friction in the glottis. Now, the glottis is an anatomical structure consisting of two flaps on the inside of the throat, right behind the Adam's apple, or for ladies, where the Adam's apple would be. You can apply this friction by slightly constricting the throat, breathing in and out. If you're doing this right, you should hear a light snoring sound. And this snoring sound is meant to be used and applied through the whole practice. It really is a bigger deal than you might originally think. So use the sound. It's very, very soothing and is very powerful. Principle number 2 is duration. So the yogis say, the slower you breathe, the longer you live. Right? Now, what we mean by this is taking just a little bit deeper of a breath than we normally would. So a great rule of thumb for this is 4 seconds in and 4 seconds out. Try that again. 4 seconds in and 4 seconds out. Great. And the third and final principle is inflation. Now, obviously, the lungs inflate with the breath, but when we say inflation, we really mean full inflation. So exaggerate, at least at first especially, the volume of the lungs. Expanding the volume of the lungs means you get more air. And more air means more oxygen. More oxygen means more energy. And the whole purpose of this exercise is to bring more energy into your body. So we'll inhale with friction, duration, and full inflation. Try one more time. Very nice. Now that we have the three principles down, let's see if we can break down the three sections of the lungs very briefly, and then we'll add them all together. So there's three major sections of respiration. There's the abdominal, thoracic, and clavicular. We're going to break each one down very briefly, breathe into each section, and then we'll add them all together. So start with the belly. Take your hands to your belly, breathe down into the diaphragm. So this is very different from chest breathing, right? If you're doing this properly, the belly should inflate slightly, and you should feel a different area of the lungs receive volume. Good. And if you're trying to condition the muscles or just get used to the feeling, continue that for as long as you'd like. Phase 2 is the thoracic section. So we'll either take our hands like so, or you can just place them on the sides of the ribs. And we're now going to breathe sideways, right? Forcing the lungs to move laterally. Let's try it. Good. So that's the thoracic cavity of the lungs. The third and final phase is clavicular. Right? So we'll do that by bringing the hands up to the chest. Now we need to force the air all the way up. And you can do this, or you can assist in this process by slightly drawing back the navel. You don't have to flex or anything, but just make sure that you retain a really nice solid shape here so that the volume is forced upward. Let's try. Good. So now that we've addressed all three sections, let's see if we can apply them all together. Now we're going to use our hands to help with a little bit of the awareness portion of that. So I like to put my left hand down below, my right hand up top, so I can feel the palms spreading with the inflation of the lungs. So we're going to start by breathing into the belly, pulling that breath up through the ribs, finally up to the throat and back down again. Let's try this for a bit. Very nice. And that's it, 3-part breathing. So you can continue this breath as long as you'd like. I use it in meditation, I use it when I'm in traffic, I use it when I exercise, I use it whenever I need a little bit more clarity, a little bit more energy, just anything that seems to distract you, the breath can bring you out of that distraction and into your center. Ujjayi is a Sanskrit word, and the literal translation for that means victorious breath or victorious breathing. So I like to think of it as victory over ignorance and ill health. Right? We use these things to conquer all the negative aspects of the psyche. If you're doing this right, and perhaps if you're sensitized enough, you should be able to feel the difference. Right? You're more calm, you're a little bit more clear, a little bit more focused, maybe a little bit more connected. Right? Maybe an elevated sense of self, maybe a sense of euphoria even, as we release all the hormones and the dopamine and the serotonin. There's so many benefits to this breath. We don't have time to name all of them, but just to name a few, conscious breathing helps to soothe the nervous system. It also helps to tone the vagus nerve, right? Those of you who know about vagal tone can immediately see the benefits in that. And lastly, and perhaps more importantly, it activates the prana in your body. And we need more prana, we need more energy to create the things that we want in our life. I really hope you got something out of this. This is a really, like I said, forgotten practice. Even in the yoga community, it's really not stressed as much as it should be. So take it for yourself, use it, practice it every day, practice it several times a day, and see what happens. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. So until next time, signing out, blessings, and I'll see you later.